Welcome to Soul Lab, a Christian-based podcast utilizing logic, history, science, and scripture to better understand the Christian faith. And now your hosts, Delaney and AJ.
All right, guys, welcome back to part 2. We have on, again, Christopher Beason, and we're going to get back in it today with him and his journey with grief, overcoming it. And yeah, we're super excited to get to cover this. So you ready to get into it?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it.
My anger really developed about 2.5, 3 months after I lost Christy. I mean, I was angry at people around me. It wasn't real fun to be around. But I decided, okay, I need to start going back to church. I'm running out of places to go and people to see, which wasn't really true. I had a lot more resources. But I was like, oh, something's got to give. Yeah. And let me tell you, on my flight home when I lost Christy, 2 things. One, technology is amazing. I continued to have Wi-Fi, so I was able to text with people who had iPhones and stay in touch with literally 1,000 texts came through on those flights.
Wow.
I flew from Monrovia to Bamako to Paris to Atlanta to Chattanooga, except I had friends who picked me up in Atlanta. I didn't end up having to do the Atlanta to Chattanooga flight, which was really great because I was able to process with somebody who knew her, who loved her. But through that, I had internet and was able to text with people. One of the things that I knew, okay, so I took my grieving hat off even in those long flights and I kind of set that grieving aside when I was able to straighten up and go, okay, I'm going to need help. I texted the wife of Jeff, Joy, and I texted a counselor friend in our church, Greg, and then another person who had done some life coaching, a business coaching with me, Steve. And I texted the 3 of them and I said, hey, I know I'm going to need to talk to somebody. I'm putting the 3 of you in a group. And still today, every now and then I text them with an update of how I'm feeling.
Oh, that's amazing.
How I'm doing. So this is 4 years later.
Yeah.
And I'm still staying in touch with those coaches in my life. And I can't say enough about how important that was for me. Again, everybody grieves differently. I don't want to put my grief experience on somebody for even a second to follow their own path.
Yeah. If I may add, one thing that I think is really critical that I think we as Christians can't celebrate or explode enough in our community is the idea of community, is that you're speaking right now about all these people that came forward during this difficult time. Yeah, friends, family, and they just surrounded you with love, kindness, checking in, giving you resources, being there for you, giving you space if you needed it. But you had people there. We as human beings are not meant to be solo. We are just naturally designed to be in community. We need that. You were telling me
from the first man, Genesis 2:18, it's not good for man to be alone, which at that time was my favorite verse.
And they're like, here, it's other ear.
But it's true. It's so true. You were educating me that statistically, most people that have some form of addiction, they don't really have any friend group usually.
Oh, the support.
They don't have a support group. That's a very common thing statistically. If someone's struggling with depression, anxiety, addictions, usually at the root of it, they don't have a strong friend group, a support group. And so I say that to say, we have to have that. As Christians, I think it is even more critical. Christ says, pick up your cross and follow me. Being a human's hard, being a Christian, I think can be harder. And you have to have that Christian community supporting you, be it your small group, church, whatever you have, because to your point, we all are going to experience grief at some point in our life. It is going to be hard. It is going to suck. And it's not a fun thing to think about, but you got to be prepared for it. But one of the ways you get prepared is you got to be in that community. So yeah, making yourself reach out and network with individuals.
It takes courage to say, hey, this is difficult, I need help. Even when it seems obvious, sometimes it's just like that step is really hard to say, I do need help. I do need people around me. It can be humbling to say, I need support.
Yeah. And I think don't underestimate the power of prayer. We prayed recently over the last probably 6 months to a year for strong Christian couple friends to come alongside us as we were getting engaged and married. And Lord blessed us.
Out of woodwork.
Like crazy. We've met tons of people now that we are super close with, and we got close really quickly.
We were in our wedding.
That were actually in our wedding. And who, we prayed for that and God delivered. He's good. And it's been amazing because it's
some people are there for a long time. And like I said before, some things are for a season. Tons of people are for a season.
No, and I've had to learn that myself is there's people that have come alongside me in my life that were very impactful to me at a certain time and maybe not at this time anymore. But I thank God for them in that season. So it's like sometimes you need certain people for certain seasons.
So I'm doing that. I'm visiting those people that helped me through. But at the same time, I'm boiling inside. I'm not going to my church. I decided to go to church that one particular weekend, and I don't remember. I guess some of the kids, some of my daughters showed up and sat with me. But I remember Jordan, I mentioned, he goes to church with me. Him and his wife were our youth leaders, and they said, hey, why don't you come to the gym night tonight and hang out? Party was not something I really wanted to do.
Yeah.
But I said, okay, I'm at the end of a very dark week. And the reason I went to church was because I kind of I was angry at God, and I wanted to say, okay, you're not doing your end. You're not speaking to me, but I'm going to go. I'm going to show up. Why don't you show up? I was really sassy with God. I need to back up. That week was, I don't know how you feel about me saying this, but it was hell week. Deep, nasty, dark, fire, Hades hell week.
Like
in my mind.
You're talking because your internal anger that you faced.
Yeah. It started about Sunday evening the week before. And I'm like, God, you need to do something. You need to fix this. You let this happen. Show me something in the Bible. Show me how you're going to fix this, because the Bible talks about redemption. The Bible talks about how you're going to fix things. Fix it. And that was kind of my theme for the week. It was fix it.
Yeah.
Yelling, angry, loud. I'm in my house by myself. I'm free to let him have it. And I did. So I didn't plan anything that week. I didn't go and do my nature hikes that week and go and find solace and feel a little better for a little longer. I was mad. I go to church. They invite me to this youth event, youth gym night. Not one person invited me home for lunch. It's like I wasn't there. And I did, in fairness, avoid people. I was trying to skirt around. Hey, yeah, I'm doing okay. I don't want to have that conversation either. And Delaney, you're a professional in this area of counseling. Maybe everybody doesn't need what I needed, but I tell people, if you don't know what to say, don't say anything.
Yeah.
Just be present.
Oh, yeah.
What I really wanted people to do is I wanted somebody to come over and sit in my living room and just read their book and just be present.
Just be there.
Just have someone there.
I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But be present.
See, I actually appreciate you saying that, because I feel like every week I'm talking to somebody that's going through some sort of loss, and I always have this feeling like, man, I don't even know what to say or do. Yeah.
One of the things I did is I did this video on how to help people with loss, and basically I said, shut up.
Yeah.
Be present.
Just be present.
Because you're probably going to say something stupid. You're going to feel bad about it later, and they're going to think that was dumb.
Yeah.
Just be present. Give them a hug and be near. Because when I want to, I can then say something to you. I can say, this is happening, or this is happening, or this is happening. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What do you want me to do with that? How would you like me to respond to that? Do you want me to go to the store? No, I just wanted to tell you, I really wish I had this. So just having somebody present. Going back to that first week or two when I lost Christy, my sister said, what do you want us to do? Do you want us to stay? There's this little Winnie the Pooh cartoon about being sad. And Eeyore is down, and I think Tigger and Piglet come and sit beside him on either side. And I tease my sisters. One of them really loves Winnie the Pooh. And I say, you guys were my Piglet and my Tigger that week. And I was feeling like Eeyore.
Yeah.
It just came. They did little of nothing.
Yeah.
But they came. They were present. Grew our relationship leaps and bounds exponentially. I remember one morning just going out on the back porch and just screaming, she's not here. She's not here. And just... my sisters were there, and they waited. And I sat down in the chair just weeping, and they came sat beside me. Didn't have much to say, but that was a blessing. And so fast forward to this week of screaming at God, screaming in my house, screaming out front. Who knows what my neighbors thought? Fortunately, I live in a very rural area, and I've got a few acres there, and so hopefully they didn't hear too much. And so I go to church, I get invited to gym night, not to lunch. So I go back home, and I'm still mad at God. I don't think I ate much, and comes about 10 minutes before gym night, and I only live 5 minutes from my church. I'm getting in my car, and literally on the way to car, I'm screaming, God, fix this. God, you need to do something. And I get in the car, I close the door, and I have this distinct voice in my mind, just as distinct as the one that told me I was to go into full-time ministry some 30 years before. Go to Becky's. I began to argue with God why that was a bad idea. Becky was a woman who was in our church that she was divorced, had 2 kids, and I was acquainted with because of my leadership role as an elder in our church, and knew some of her backstory. But I was thinking, this is a bad idea, God. Okay, let's move on past that. And I argue with him going down my driveway. My driveway is about 1,000 feet long, and I get to the end of the driveway, and I could barely push the accelerator because her house is halfway between my house and the church.
Oh, okay.
2-mile drive to the church. She's at mile number 1. And I'm going, God, that's not you. That's a bad idea. Not because I didn't think she was a nice lady, but because it just seemed like a bad idea. because everybody had told me it was a bad idea for me to talk to anybody. It just was a bad idea, God. So I drove real slow. It took me about that 10 minutes to get down that mile. I was, God, this is a bad. Got a little further down the road and I heard it again. Go to Becky's. So I'm like, what do I say? What do I do? So I pulled into her driveway and her son looks out the front door and says to her, hey mom, that man is here. He'd seen me at church.
Oh,
My youngest daughter of the 3 girls had been their babysitter every Thursday night. She would go over and babysit so that Becky could go running and go grocery shopping and other things that she needed to do on Thursday night. So we were acquainted and had that connection, and he knew that I was her dad. And so I was that man.
yeah.
We tease him about that. And I went to the door. I didn't know what to say. I mean, I wasn't romantically interested. I knew it was a bad idea from everything everybody else had told me.
Yeah.
Yet I was yelling at God, fix it. And he wasn't giving me any answers. For 7 days, it was really dark, really quiet, not feeling connected at all. So I went in, and Levi had been in the skit that they had done in the sermon that morning. So I thought, okay, I'll compliment him on the skit. So I complimented him 3 or 4 or 5 times. Didn't know how to say it, said it different ways, didn't know what I was doing there.
Yeah.
Becky was there in the chair in the living room. I stood in the doorway awkwardly. She remembers the conversation that we had. I don't. All I remember is saying, hey, Levi, you did a good job in the skit. Hey, Levi, I thought you did really well. I'm proud of you for being up there. I know that wasn't easy. Levi, I hope you do more of those. You did good.
Yeah.
Coming up with, finally, after a couple of minutes, I left.
Yeah.
Get in my car. I'm like, God, that was the stupidest thing you've ever asked me to do. I'm not doing it again. I'm leaving. I'm going to the youth thing.
Yeah.
I went to the youth thing. I was so rattled by the experience in her living room there, standing there awkwardly. I stayed for a few minutes. I remember I grabbed a handful of M&Ms and I said, I'm taking these and going. So I left. Didn't connect with the youth, just briefly with Jordan and Ashley, and I went home. And now I was mad at God for something recent. It's like, this was dumb. This was dumb. Tuesday, I was eating at a Thai restaurant, which I don't know if you know.
Yeah, I know it. Yeah.
And he had taken me to lunch. Coming out of the restaurant, guess who's sitting there with one of her girlfriends eating lunch?
Becky.
Yeah. For whatever dumb reason, we men are awkward. I kicked her chair as I went through the restaurant. Said hi and left.
Yeah.
Her friend said, hey, he's kind of cute. Maybe you should talk to him. She says, oh, he's not ready to talk to anybody. Thursday, we're having family dinner. It's the holidays. Woke up with the impression, hey, I should call her and see if she wants to bring the kids over if they have plans. I want her to be alone.
Yeah.
Juliana's like, why are you thinking of inviting her? I said, you babysit for her, and maybe she doesn't have any place to go with the kids for the holiday. So I call her, say, hey, we're having dinner tonight at 6. Would you like to come? I've got some other plans. I said, well, things work out, come. If not, don't. She showed up. I had figured that I'd get her in the seat across from me. We'd talk.
Yeah, yeah.
I had this planned out. She sat at the opposite side of the table, opposite end of the table, zero conversation. She plays games with the kids over in the living room. I said, oh, man, I'm the host here. And it was just grumbling.
Yeah.
Nothing was happening. This is tough. She goes to leave, and I walked her out. She was one of the last ones out. And I said, this is a brilliant line here. I can't tell anybody, try this. Do you text? Yeah. I said, can I text you sometime? We're alone there on my front porch, and she's sure. I think she actually said that would not be unwelcome. She was as awkward with it as I was. So I text her and I say, hey, I'm free. Are you free for a call? And she's sure. So I FaceTime her. She said FaceTiming was the most awkward thing I could have asked her to do. It was like, you get to see each other. We ended up talking for a couple of hours. And I said, hey, if you enjoyed this, if you'd like to do it again sometime, I'm going to be out of town this weekend. It was my birthday, and I was going to visit another friend in Texas. So I'd be back, I think, Monday. And so I said, hey, if you got some time next week and you want to get together, I said, if I don't hear from you, no hard feelings. But she did. She texted Monday morning and said, these are the times when I can get away from work. And so we went for a hike.
Nice. Yeah.
And we ended up talking for way longer than a lunch hike should take. And 3 hours we sat on a bench and chatted until she had to go get her kids from school.
Yeah.
Long story short, she's my wife now. I don't call her Becky anymore. I call her Rebecca.
Okay.
I don't like Chris. I like Christopher.
Rebecca,
I
yeah.
call her by her full name. And I love her kids. She loves my kids. We have 4 bonus kids as well. So 9 kids altogether, 3 plus 2 plus 4.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we have 7 grandchildren amongst all those kids.
Yeah.
And hopefully counting. We're hoping
Yeah,
it's not
yeah.
the end. There's
Goodness,
still-
that's a
Yeah.
big family.
Yeah.
her 2 kids are still at home. So she moved into my home and they love it. And they got big rooms and
Yeah.
lots of space and so forth. And it hasn't been an easy journey. There's a book called Blended that we use to try and figure out how to
I've heard of
blend
this,
2
yeah.
homes. I would recommend it.
Yeah.
But I want to just share one passage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Please do.
Philippians 1:12. Philippians 1:12 says, this is Paul's story.
Right. Oh, this is when he's in prison.
Philippians 1:12, he says, I want you to know, brethren and sisters, I want you to know that the things which happened to me have actually turned out for the furtherance of the gospel.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to me in my loss of my mom, what happened to me in the loss of what I thought was ministry,
Yeah.
what happened to me in the loss of my wife has turned out for the furtherance of the gospel. I don't know why God allowed Christy to die, but I've had a number of people that have told me, because I posted, I was pretty private before that, I thought, but I posted a lot about my grief journey, a lot about my anger, a number of passages that were meaningful, both from scripture and from other writers, from resources
Yeah.
that are helpful in the grief process. And I was able to tell them my journey and how I coped, and they took some of those tools and were blessed and were able to through their journey. So I went through this leadership opportunity as a kid. I found ministry leadership opportunities when I lost my work. And since then, I've been able to, Rebecca and I together have been able to minister to people through grief. We've been able to lead people through marriage loss, whether that's through death or through divorce or separation. These passages that I shared are not just cliche. What the devil means for evil, God can use for good.
Yeah.
100%.
In incredible ways. Let me just share one last anecdote about Rebecca and I's journey. Weeks later, I told her about that awkward day, my anger, really trusting each other after a number of weeks of talking. And she said, let me tell you what I was doing.
Oh.
I had started dating 2 years after my divorce, and dating using online dating apps. Horrible process. I'm sure it works for some people. Not criticizing it at all, but for her it was terrible. And she said, okay, God, if you want me to be with somebody, send them to me.
Oh.
If you want me to be with somebody, send them to me and have them knock on my door.
That's incredible. Was that a few days before, maybe? Whenever
No, this was months before.
It was like
Yeah.
months before? Okay.
And I believe she would correct me now. I believe her exact words were, tell them to come
Oh, that's powerful.
and
Yeah.
have them knock on my door.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
That's really cool.
And my 3 words, go to Becky's, couldn't have been more clear of
Yeah.
him telling me to come. So we didn't compare notes for weeks later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those things convinced us that God was leading us to new hope,
Yeah.
sort of redemption.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And there's a lot more. If she were here, she would share. But the science of grief, the process of grief, what God does through that when we're trusting in him and when we're not trusting in him, when
Yeah.
we don't feel like trusting in him. One writer, I don't have the quote here, but one writer said something like, when you don't feel like singing, when you don't feel like praying, when you don't feel like, just do it anyway. Even if you're mad and you don't even believe what you're doing, do it anyway.
Yeah.
It will come. The affections toward God, toward Christ as your Savior, they will come back. Do it. And it's kind of like any other training. Do what you've been trained to do. Do what you know, even if you don't think it's going to work. And so spiritual warfare, same. Do what you know. And God will restore what's broken.
As we've been listening to you, I've been hearing that you allowed yourself to kind of go through those stages of grief. Anger being an important one, I think, especially for guys. We're naturally, I think, we get angrier. I feel like in some churches, it's kind of almost a taboo, but I think it's a kind of misunderstood emotion. Anger is a form of processing, which you've talked to me about.
Yeah. And I don't, not to interrupt you, but I don't know that guys necessarily feel anger more, but I think they feel it in the traditional way that we interpret anger to be. I think sometimes women express it covertly. So it's not as apparent, if that makes sense.
We're more like, what, boisterous about it?
Yeah, it's more like the traditional, you think of angry, you think of loud, angry, like yelling. And that's, I think, the more of what guys express.
But you were saying that it's important for you. We have to process these emotions.
Oh,
we have to get through them.
Yeah. So
we can't bottle them up.
Yeah, it's important.
And we, as Christians, it's getting angry isn't a sin. I think that's a misunderstanding that
Christ got angry.
Christ got angry too.
Absolutely.
But there's righteous anger. But it's sometimes we have to process, and it's important. And I think that's a way the devil can win there, is make us think that, oh, you can't show that you're angry. Don't let people know that you're angry.
Yeah, and that's not.
And it's like, no, you kind of need to share that. To your point, you shared that with some others as you were processing it. That's important.
I heard, and I may not express this accurately to the author's intent, but I heard one author put it this way: we need to be so fierce in our spiritual journey that we commit spiritual violence. And that's such a strong word, violence.
Yeah.
But spiritual violence has a different implication, that we are so strong toward, God doesn't need our protection, but toward protecting the reputation of God through what people see in us.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
That we express fiercely, his character.
No, I like that.
Growing in us.
Yeah. Spiritual violence.
We could explore that on another podcast.
Yeah. I love that.
No, it's
That's
funny.
really cool.
I was just thinking, I was like, we should do a whole episode on that topic.
Yeah.
No joke.
Yeah.
To write that down. I actually like that a lot.
Yeah, I think it's a valuable thing to just process, because sometimes you struggle to say to each other what you can say to a third party in a safe place.
Yeah,
Don't
absolutely.
recommend you say it to you talked about having other friends that you prayed for. They may not be the safe place. Not that they're not safe people, but they may not be the safe place for you to discuss those things.
Yeah.
A therapist is generally, particularly a Christian therapist. I strongly recommend Christian therapists who understands the spiritual journey you're on. And just when I was cleaning Christy's closet, and I was doing it over a period of weeks and months, it wasn't something I did. But one morning I woke up and said, I'm really going to get a hold of this thing and do a lot.
Yeah.
I got up, didn't have breakfast. I went straight into the closet and started working. And I know Rachel when she was Rachel. She goes by Delaney now as an adult. Delaney, you'll understand this. I'm sure you've heard this from people. They got so into it that they didn't take care of themselves. I spent the day in there. About mid-afternoon, I came out and I had this pile of things boxed up, or stuff going to Goodwill or wherever. And I had sorted through a lot and spent 6-8 hours in that closet. Wow. Or in my house, but not really eating, not really taking care of myself. Extreme emotions is what I'm talking about. Yeah. I remember this. I remember that. Oh, man, how can I help somebody with this or that?
Yeah.
Just everything spinning. Nobody had come by the house. I was alone. We have a 14-foot bar island in our home. I'm at one end of it, and I'm processing this. I'm starting to think, and I start to realize my body is not holding me up.
Oh.
And my head's kind of spinning. I'm seeing sparkles in my vision, and I'm on a tile floor, and I'm over a granite bar, and something's wrong. And I had my phone, and I remember typing in to this group of 20, I'm not okay, please come. And I worked my way down the bar, and I get to the carpet at the end of the bar, and I sit down on the floor, and I lean back up against it. I was thankful I made it all the way.
Yeah.
I can't say that I passed out, but I wasn't really with it. It's as close to passing out without passing out as you could come. And it was toward the evening by then, and I was out of it. I had 10 or 11 people in my home from that group of 20. Some people were out of town. They couldn't have come if they wanted to, but that group came immediately. Most of them had access to my front door pass code on my lock and came in. And I talk about my bonus son, Michael. He happened to be working at the medic station, which is just over a mile from my house, at a mile.
Yeah.
He brought the ambulance over and came and checked me out. And another friend came, and my girls, and they got me some food.
Good.
They just sat with me for an hour and a half, and I ate and I felt better. And just one of those highly emotional days. Again, there's a science to grieving, a physiological response to grieving. And again, my journey is different. Not everybody may experience that. But I just, having that, what I call my breakdown day, it was cathartic and eye-opening. I didn't really realize what was going on with me, what I was dealing with. I was just marching through that. And this was before that horrible week I told you about, but certainly impacting and leading up to it. So having that circle is what I'm saying.
I feel like, too, we didn't do a good job, and that was my fault in the beginning, kind of saying that growing up, I knew you. I don't know if we were I get my parents and your parents were pretty good friends and in the same kind of church groups. And so I had the honor of knowing Christy and kind of seeing you two as a team. And that was really special kind of to see that. And especially as I was my parents didn't end up making it the long haul married. And so I didn't really have a good, I guess, role model for marriage. And so I pulled from experiences like seeing you and Christy and other people in church and stuff like that when I was seeking, what do I want my marriage to look like? What do I want to be in a marriage? And so that was something that I'm very grateful for now. And so I can't
praise the Lord.
I can't say that to Christy. I can say it to you. So thank you for that experience.
It was messy and imperfect, but it was also good.
Life. I have not met Rebecca, but I'm sure I could learn some lessons too from meeting her and seeing how to support someone in a marriage. So that's really cool.
So Christopher, thank you again for everything that you've shared, because I know this is incredibly personal. I know this is very emotional. I caught myself multiple times while you were talking get very emotional.
Yeah, I was crying.
Yeah, I was there. I was close. I was like, control it. Everyone can't be crying. But anyways, I just wanted to commend you for that, for being strong enough to do that. I do think your testimony is really powerful. We were in church, I think it was like a couple weekends ago, we were in church and the pastor was talking about the idea that God does not waste any experience that we go through. All of it can be used for his glory. And absolutely, what you've been through has allowed you to disciple the world. I mean, just all the things you talked about today, of the different experiences you had in that moment were just awful experiences God's been able to use for good. And it's painful, it sucks, but at the end of the day, it's for God's glory. But you had to listen to the Holy Spirit for each one of those things. As you were listening, I was seeing a theme. There was this moment of grief, but then there was this opportunity for leadership, and then there was a blessing that came out of that after each one. So kudos to you for that. I think that's incredible.
Praise the Lord.
And we see that theme throughout Scripture as well. You talked earlier about Joseph, similar situation, through quite the rough experience with his family, was then given the opportunity for leadership, for stewardship. He used that to bless the whole nation. Some books that come to mind as well. So you read Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl. Man's Search for Meaning.
I just read that's really good.
Did you?
Yeah.
So Viktor Frankl was a Holocaust survivor.
Okay.
But the premise of the book is how to find purpose and meaning and how to make it through difficult times. And so it's an amazing book. I recommend everyone read it. Awesome book.
It's short.
It's not a very long book. Yeah. Phenomenal.
Man's Search for Meaning?
Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Phenomenal book.
It'll be in the show notes.
Yeah, we'll add it in there.
Yeah.
And then I just read A Grief Observed by C.S. Lewis. I don't know if you've read that one. I also recommend that one, but it's kind of on this topic of like how to get through grief.
That one actually has been recommended to me, and I just haven't gotten it, but I do want to read it.
Yeah. I'm a huge C.S. Lewis fan. I feel like I have to say that because every Christian podcaster says that. But
every episode, I think you've referenced
I do. That's true. Every podcast, I usually reference one book just because it comes up.
And
but I literally just read this one like 2 books ago, I think. But yeah, Grief Observed is a great one for just kind of, it shows it's someone going through grief, and it's kind of like showing their process of going through it and the resources and the people, similar things you reached out to, or similar things you mentioned today about people reaching out to them, the criticalness of that. But I guess I would be curious, as you were now looking back through all those different experiences, is there anything that your perspective, like from a religious standpoint, has changed after going through all these experiences where you are today? Is there anything you look back and you're like, wow, I kind of view that differently now, or I think differently about that?
The pastoral aspect changed for me and how I see people in their own journey. I looked at it as, I can't really relate to that, but I'll pray with you. I'll try to be nice about it. This is in my thoughts in my head. Obviously, I didn't say that to people. Yeah. But now I truly feel like I can relate to loss and grief. So one of the things that Christy had said to me not long before she passed away was that she felt like she had seen me grow spiritually a lot in recent months. And again, she said this to me 4.5 years ago. That is something very encouraging for a husband to hear, because a wife knows you better than anything. Yeah. Better than anybody. And one of the funny things I like to tell people is, if you think your wife is just picking at you, have a second wife and they tell you the same things that were wrong with you as your first wife told you, then you know you've really got to do something about it. Yeah. I didn't word that quite right, but you get the idea.
Yes,
having 2 people you really trust reflect on your shortcomings, and they both say the same thing, you might need to do something about it.
Yeah.
But for her to tell me that was very meaningful at the time. It still is, but very meaningful to me at the time. And my spiritual journey waned after I lost her. And I was sharing with Rebecca that I don't feel like I am as connected. I'm certainly connected to God, but I don't feel like I'm as connected to him as I was at that time. And I yearn because what she said to me wasn't a surprise to me. I felt connected to God, but it was affirming to have somebody on the outside say, I see you're growing. I can see it. I can feel it. So I've told Rebecca that I really yearn for that. Rebecca's, I don't want to get into her previous relationship because it's not my story, but he's not a Christian. And his journey was not one connected to God. And so for her, she looks at me and she says, I think you really are connected to God. I think she was right. I think there was something, but I know in my heart that I'm not where I was. Let some things slide.
Yeah.
So it is both affirming to have her tell me that I am there, but she has her comparison to what she experienced in her previous relationship. But I know I can do better. I know I can be more.
Yeah.
Spiritually, you raise 3 daughters, and they're out being adults, and you see yourself reflected in their behaviors. You see things that you did and didn't do, and how they do and don't behave. Okay, so there's that. And then I have 2 kids that come into my home. Okay, so my 3 older daughters will tell you that I have lamented that I wasn't as good of a dad as I should have been, even though they're good. They're nice to me. They say, oh, Dad, you were a great dad. You were fine. But I know I could do better. So I have that opportunity with these 2 that I have a second chance to try and be better. And their parenting that they've experienced for the first 10 and 8 years of their life, now they're 13 and 12, almost 14 and 12. For their experience, the different parenting than my parenting style was, I've had to shift spiritually, emotionally, physically in how I parent them. They don't have the same foundation that Christy and I laid for our girls. Our girls came into a home that was daily devotions, attending church regularly, and it was just bathed in spirituality. Rebecca did her best to do those things in their home, but they didn't have their dad exemplifying that so much. And especially once the divorce happened, no spirituality at all, at least when they were together, there was some, but it was a different spirituality level. And I'm not even trying to say it was a bad level. It just was different. And so I've had to adapt to where they are. So here's the thing. How much adapting does God do on our journey? Because we aren't where we need to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
And God meets us where we are.
I like that a lot.
I'm not God. I'm not really good at it. My human nature doesn't like bending and flowing, but I'm having to. And when I don't bend and flow, there's bruises for both of us along the way.
But it gives you like a higher
spiritual
level of appreciation.
Bruises, not physical.
Yeah.
But it almost gives you like a higher level of appreciation for God, because like it's like we're trying to do that in our own world, like you said, molding, adapting. I mean, this is kind of tough, but God's got to do it for every human being.
He does it for 8 billion people.
Wild.
It's insane.
And statistically, they say there were about 8+ billion people before us. 8 billion people. Yeah. So for 16 to 20 billion, he's been flexible and met every single one of them.
Yeah.
The haters, the lovers, the middle of the roader, fence riders. He meets us all.
Yeah.
In different stages during their whole lives too.
Yeah.
Truly, the song is right. What a friend we have in Jesus.
Incredible.
What a gracious, grace-filled friend we have in Jesus. Yeah.
It's incredible.
So you asked me what I've learned on that spiritual journey. It's that, okay, how can I try to be more like him, the father that I need to be, and show them without being critical of this thing in their life or that behavior in their life, trying to show them who Jesus is. And there are times when I want to hit that right. Man, I wish I could have done that for my other 3. Yeah. There's a little bit of grief there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a good point. I haven't thought about that part.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
A little bit of grief there. And there are plenty of resources out there. And I'm sure that when your journey as a counselor, you can offer resources. Counseling is good through the grief process. Writing a book, certainly reading scripture. You know, I read things. You asked how things change. I read things and I look at them different. My perspective is, ooh, that's something that I could share when I'm talking to somebody. Something I would not have picked up. I can't think of anything specific, but a grief principle that I would not have picked up had I not gone through my very heightened grief experience. Again, because I lost a birth mother who, my mom, Mary, is my mom. And my dad, Fred, is my dad. So there's no confusion for me about that. Those are mom and dad. I love them, and I don't think of them in any other way ever, and never have. I knew I was adopted when that was just a theme of conversation that happened through the course of life. I knew I was adopted, but they were mom and dad. They took care of me. They loved me. They showed me who Jesus is. They're a great deal of the reason why I stayed when I lost my job, why I stayed in ministry. I mean, it would have been easy enough to say, what kind of God lets this happen to me? I'm going to go, and I was in media and marketing a little bit before I pastored. I could have just gone and done that and probably made really good money.
Right.
But the reason why I stayed grounded in my faith, and that's not to say there's not good money in religious work too, but it's a different emphasis and different purpose.
It's a different focus.
But just all the processing, I just picked up little tidbits. The thing I told you earlier about being present and not just talking.
Yes.
That's something that I couldn't have added to. And I think that's probably one of the most valuable principles I've learned about the grief process for people who are observing others who are grieving, being present.
Yeah. So I was actually doing some reading before this morning just to brush up about the effects of grief and how it affects our hormones and our physical body, and the cortisol levels spike as if you're in chronic stress. And so hearing your experiences.
What is cortisol? You mentioned it.
Yeah, sorry.
Some people may not
That's
know.
actually a good point.
I don't know.
Cortisol is the stress hormone. So that's what is released when you're under like a lot of stress. Or
is it like an adrenaline?
It causes brain fog. It causes hormone imbalance. It can throw your other hormones off. It's not so much adrenaline as it's released to help your brain function at that level of stress successfully, but long term at that level, it's very damaging for the body.
So I think I talked about those weekends where I would just push. I could go on these long hikes and then I would just collapse. I would be talking to people about my grief, and I could push. Even now I'm feeling a bit of it. I'm talking to you guys and push through. I'm going to be really tired later.
Yes. Yep.
So
absolutely.
okay, I get the effect now.
So I guess as we wrap this up, what's one thing you would want our audience to know in terms of overcoming grief or dealing with grief? What's one thing you'd want to share with them?
Take the journey. Don't. So a personal note. Someone very close to my wife, I won't mention their names, pushed their grief out, very close to her, pushed their grief out, said, I'm just going to stop thinking about her. Put away her pictures, not talk about her. Christopher, we'd rather you didn't come around because you remind us of her. We don't want to remember. We don't want to think. That's a horrible approach to grief.
Yeah.
Embrace your grief. Talk to people about it. Even if you don't go to counseling, find a friend you can talk to.
Yeah.
Go through the process.
Yeah.
And it's not a process that has an end and a beginning.
Right.
It's just a process.
Yeah.
I processed hard. I was talking to everybody and anybody those first few months. Even when Rebecca and I started talking, I was in still at the heavy grieving stuff. We talked and talked. She was a great sounding board. She understood the grief process of losing a spouse. She had lost a spouse. Divorce is a loss.
Yeah.
Embrace it. Please don't put it off. Don't say, I won't think about them. I won't think about this situation. No, think about it.
Yeah.
And if you have feelings of, you don't have to help me, Rachel, what the right word is, valuelessness, where you don't feel valued, you don't feel.
Oh, yeah, like that worthless.
Worthless, thank you.
Yeah.
Where you start feeling worthless, talk to somebody, call a phone number. Don't let nonsense get into your head where you don't think you can go on.
Yeah.
You're valuable, and you're only going to extend the grief for others if you try to do something negative in your life, whether that's suicide or some other harm. Talk to somebody.
Yeah.
But please don't push it down. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You got anything else?
I'd like that what you said too. When you said like calling someone and also knowing that it gets better.
It does.
I had a counselor one time tell me it will never be the same. It'll never be that kind of good, but it can be a different kind of good. It can be a fantastic kind of good that you've never experienced before. And so knowing that is ahead, it's just getting.
What I was going to say, and which ties into that, is grief is sometimes described in two different ways, at least for me. I'm sure it's described in multiple ways in the therapy scope. One way was a backpack full of rocks, taking one rock out at a time. And sometimes you can take a whole bundle of rocks out. Sometimes grief throws in some new rocks.
Yeah.
But you're climbing a hill, there's rocks in your backpack, you're feeling it, and it gets a little lighter as you go along. Another way is peeling in onions. I hate onions, so I don't like that one. But it's true. Just peeling an onion, so many layers of the onion takes a while to get them. I don't think I'll ever fully be grieved, but I'll come to that 5th stage. And I think I'm there to the most part, but then there's moments where I'm not.
Yeah.
And that is acceptance. I can talk about it. I don't weep when I talk about Christy a lot. When I get down to that moment when I really lost her and I knew I was losing her, obviously, that's a real struggle to talk about. When I think for a while, and I sometimes just allow myself to think. That's allowing. Don't push grief away. I literally will allow myself to start thinking, and I think about those memories, and I know I'm going to cry. I know that I'm going to go through that, but I know that's valuable.
Yeah.
I try to do it when I'm alone. It's a little embarrassing to have a lot of people around when I'm going to cry, but I try to let that in. Sometimes I do it when I'm driving, which may not be the best time.
I do when I'm driving
I can cry when I'm driving, but just back again to your comment or question. Don't push away the grief. Let it in. Let you process it.
Go through that journey.
There may be a time when I need to set this aside. I need to be strong for them, but I'm going to come back to it. And you find you can. You can let it back in.
Absolutely.
Love it. Okay.
Christopher, it has been our absolute pleasure to get to hang out and talk with you today.
Thank you.
Seriously, thank you for coming
thank you
on.
for your
It's been a
time.
blessing to be able to be here.
It has been
another processing moment for me.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm glad.
I'm glad we got to hear your story and your testimony.
Could you make room? I'm going to lay down on the couch now.
Come on.
How much is my therapy today?
Let's see, 2 hours. Yeah. So
We appreciate your time.
we really appreciate your time. Thank you
for yours.
I guess that concludes this episode of Soul Lab.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you guys for coming and listening today. Feel free to give us any questions, comments in the show notes.
If you want to follow Mission SONlight, we'll have it linked down below. And I was also on an episode. I should mention that too, huh?
Oh, yeah. You were a guest a few weeks ago.
Yeah. If you want to see a little crossover, I was on Mission SONlight chat a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
There's that.
We'll have to put that one in there
We
too.
may get AJ on there.
There we go.
Oh, hey, there we go. I'm a lot cheaper. I just need like a Big Mac and I'm happy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe we should try doing a podcast at a McDonald's.
We could.
That's
Wouldn't that be
fun.
something else?
That'd be kind of fun. That'd be kind of fun. All right, cool. Yeah, thank you again. Thank you guys for listening. And that concludes it.
Yeah, we'll see you next time.
Yeah, see you guys next time.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Soul Lab with AJ and Delaney. You can find all materials referenced from today's episodes in the show notes. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, comment, and subscribe. Check out our website for more episodes and stay tuned for the next release. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.